The DFL lead on early childhood issues in the House, Representative Nora Slawik, joins me now to talk a little bit about early childhood and the upcoming tour to various school districts. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice to be here.
Let's begin with the DFL tour. What do you expect to hear as you talk about the budget shift with various districts?
Well, it's interesting. We've actually done one since session, and this is obviously since school started. So we'll be going around the state to various districts, starting with Hennepin and out to Wilmer and different places. I mean, there's a variety of things. I mean, some districts are prepared to handle the school shift. Some of the bigger districts have reserves and things that they can work with. Some of the smaller districts, it's going to be a significant problem. They're having to borrow this money, and that creates, the interest rate and more money to pay it back. And so I think we'll hear a variety of things. I think in terms of the Race to the Top application, very exciting, $50 million for early childhood from the federal government. A lot of this grant, when they're looking at states, we hear is going to focus on these quality rating systems. Minnesota, we didn't pass anything, it was controversial in the legislature, but the governor came out for it, and it's going to continue because it is in statute. So I think we're going to be competitive. Not sure if we're going to get it because it's hard to get that federal money, and we think there's going to be several really big grants, but we'll see.
What would you use in your world? What would that money go towards if we were to access a significant amount of it?
Well, right now it's been piloted, the quality rating system, so it's mostly in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Blue Earth County. Those are the main places, so we'd be able to expand it. So when people say, well, the quality rating system, we're in rural Minnesota, we don't have it out here, we could then start to bring it out there if providers wanted to go through the process. And a lot of folks do, because for parents, they like having that star rating system. They like knowing I'm going to a 4-star childcare or I'm going to a 1-star, because you kind of know where people stand, whether it's restaurants or hotels or childcare.
And Representative Slawik, your caucus agrees with that, with the quality rating system. However, yes, as you know and you mentioned, it did not pass through the legislature. Right. The governor did issue an executive order to create it. Critics have blasted that move. So is it something that, in your opinion, should have been created with the legislature's assistance?
Well, and actually is a quality rating system in statute. So the issue was this whole how to take it statewide and then how to work in with the Race to the Top money. So I think that the governor did the right thing. He came out in support of it and said this is something that we want to do. It's something that all other states in the nation are doing. So when you look at the Minnesota legislature, part of me thinks, there's this group of Tea Partiers kind of holding everything hostage, and that was one of them. And you think, come on, the entire country is moving towards this system and a way to figure out what's quality childcare versus what's not. Why shouldn't we do that? So I think we're in support of that. I think we're in support of what the governor did. And really, I think if you took the whole legislature, the majority of the legislature would support that it's a small group that does not.
Okay, the governor also named the folks who are going to be on the Early Childhood Readiness Council.
Right. What
are your expectations for that council?
Well, I actually sat on it before, and we put into law that legislators would sit on there. So some of these task forces, they don't, but we wanted to be on there. Our first thing is this Friday, we're having a teleconference about the Race to the Top application. So the council is involved in that and involved in not necessarily writing the grant, but making sure that it is meeting the needs for the state of Minnesota. So we'll be working on the approval process for the grant. Beyond that, we really need a long-term vision for early childhood in Minnesota. As you know, it's met some controversy. I think all of us in the legislature believe that parents are the first and best teachers of little kids. Absolutely, they are. But is there a place for the state in that? A place to support parents that need to go to work, welfare to work, supporting them by helping them get quality childcare? Is there a place in helping get kids ready for kindergarten? So low-income, high-risk kids that can't get to preschool, that can't get to a place to learn their colors and their numbers and all those types of things. The state has a role in helping with that, and frankly, a limited role. We don't want to fund all education for all kids under 5. It's just helping them get ready for school.
And is there funding to try to move forward with those goals?
Well, yes, there is. I mean, I think the easiest thing to do would probably be to take the school formula down, because you know who really has the most to gain from kids getting a good early childhood experience are the schools. You know, you hear about all these troubles with test scores and how kids can't read. Well, if you can get kids get those basics in 4 or 5 years old, then your schools are going to do a lot better. You're going to actually save money for the school system.
So Representative Slawik, let's look ahead to next session, policy sessions. What are some of the policies that you hope to push through, excuse me, and what are some of the Republican proposals that you're anticipating?
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, it's a short session, it's a bonding year, and it's a redistricting year, so there's a lot of reasons to think it's going to be a very short session. I think the Republicans will probably come back with their sort of Florida-type proposals, you know, vouchers, which have been proven not to work in places like Milwaukee. They'll probably want, you know, a lot of the things, you know, that they do, the anti-labor stuff, the collective bargaining, all of that will probably be back on the table. I think what you will also see that will be different this year is though that the Dayton administration is going to have their agenda and that they're going to be strongly proposing certain education items. So you're going to see a very clear contrast this year what the Republican legislature and the Democratic governor would like to see.
And what about you specifically? Any policies you hope to move through?
Well, you know, we've been working on some of this for a long time. I'll probably have something in terms of QRS, trying to make it more statewide and looking at the policy if there's anything left that needs to be done. You know, after the race to the top of the application, I suppose we'll know by next session. I think that all-day kindergarten is really the, you know, one of the big initiatives. It is expensive, I have to say that, but the way that a lot of places do it is a lot of school districts already have all-day kindergarten. So the funding really is just to fund the ones that don't, and to target it to really high-risk kids. Because again, we know if kids are in kindergarten all day, you know, sort of the 2.5 hours in the morning versus 5-6 hours, it makes a big difference.
And given the budget, again, it's not a budget year next year, how optimistic, realistic
Yeah,
is?
it's going to be tough. I mean, I think we're looking at tight budgets for a while here. I think most of government, we're going to be doing some downsizing. So what we would have to do with that kindergarten money is if there is some money for the schools, is to make it where the schools could have the choice of how to use it. You know, they use it for all-day kindergarten. They could use it, you know, potentially for early ed. They could use it for remedial work. They could use it for at-risk, that type of thing. And that's what we understand is that the schools would prefer. So it might have to be, you know, along a choice with some other things.
And do you think by approaching it with that the choice would be up to the districts, that you might gain some more Republican support?
Well, potentially. I mean, if they had some things that they wanted to see and that they could use, you know, an example would be the integration money, you know, that now they're looking at taking it from integration to sort of innovation. So they're changing the name a little bit, making it more flexible, right? So I think at least we've seen with that example, it definitely gained more support.
Okay, all right, we're out of time, but Representative Slawik, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, thank you.